Sarah Chen pressed her back against the cold metal wall and listened to the sounds of war echoing through the tunnels above. The screams had stopped an hour ago. That was never a good sign. She checked her rifle one more time, even though she knew it would not matter. The weapon was old, patched together from spare parts they had scavenged from the ruins of Singapore. It fired maybe 3 shots before jamming. Against the Dominion's crystal armor, it was about as useful as throwing rocks. Commander Chen. The voice belonged to David Park, her second in command. His face was pale and covered in dust from the latest tunnel collapse. They've broken through the north entrance. Captain Martinez is holding them back, but not for long, Sarah finished. She had known this day would come. They all had. For 200 years, humanity had been fighting a losing battle against the Dominion. Today, that battle would finally end. The Dominion was made up of 4 alien races that had decided humans were too dangerous to live. They said humans were violent and unpredictable. They said humans spread across the galaxy like a disease. They were probably right, but that did not give them the right to wipe out every man, woman, and child on Earth. Sarah's group was hiding in what used to be the subway tunnels under New Singapore. 847 people, men, women, children, elderly. They were the last free humans in the entire galaxy. Everyone else was either dead or working as slaves in Dominion mines on distant worlds. "How much time do we have?" Sarah asked. David looked at his watch. "Maybe 20 minutes before they reach this level. Martinez says they're using some kind of new weapon. It cuts through our barriers like they're made of paper." Sarah nodded. She had expected this. The Dominion had been playing with them for months, letting them think they had a chance. Now they were ready to finish the job. She walked over to the command center they had set up in an old maintenance room. Maps covered the walls showing tunnel systems and escape routes. None of them would work now. The Dominion had found their main base. "Listen up, everyone," Sarah called out. Her voice carried through the tunnels, reaching every person in their small community. "The Dominion has found us. They're coming and we cannot stop them." A woman started crying somewhere in the darkness. A child asked his mother what was happening. Sarah felt her heart break a little more. "But we're not going to make it easy. For them," she continued, "we're going to show them what happens when you try to destroy humanity. We're going to make them remember this day." She turned to David. "Get everyone to the deep tunnels. There's something down there I need to show you." They moved quickly through the narrow passages. The sounds of fighting were getting closer. Sarah could hear the strange humming noise that Dominion weapons made when they fired. She could smell the sharp, bitter scent that their crystal armor left in the air. The deep tunnels were older than the subway system. They had been built during the early days of human space exploration, when Earth was preparing for its first steps into the galaxy. Most people had forgotten they existed. Sarah led her people down a metal staircase that had not been used in decades. The air got colder as they went deeper. Emergency lights flickered on as they walked, powered by some ancient system that still worked after all these years. "Commander, where are we going?" asked Dr. Williams, the group's medic. She was carrying a small girl who had been hurt in the last attack. "You'll see," Sarah said. She hoped she was right about what they would find down here. She had discovered this place 6 months ago while looking for new hiding spots. What she had found had changed everything. They reached the bottom of the stairs and found themselves in a long hallway lined with doors. The walls were made of some kind of metal that Sarah had never seen before. It seemed to glow with a faint blue light. At the end of the hallway was a large door marked with symbols that hurt to look at directly. Above the door was a plaque written in several languages. Sarah read the English version out loud. "Project Eternal Guardian, in honor of those who sleep for tomorrow's war." "What does that mean?" David asked. Sarah did not answer. She was looking at the smaller text below the main message. "Activation requires genetic identification of senior military personnel during extinction-level event." The sounds of fighting were getting very close now. Sarah could hear Dominion voices speaking in their clicking, harsh language. They had maybe 5 minutes before the aliens found the entrance to the deep tunnels. "Everyone stay back," Sarah ordered. She walked up to the door and placed her hand on a small panel next to the plaque. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the panel began to glow with the same blue light as the walls. "Genetic scan complete," said a voice from hidden speakers. The voice spoke perfect English, but there was something strange about it. It sounded almost human, but not quite. "Military rank commander, species status critical, population remaining 847 individuals." The door began to open with a deep rumbling sound. Cold air rushed out, carrying with it the smell of metal and electricity. "Population status confirms extinction level event," the voice continued. "Guardian Protocol Omega is now authorized. Awakening sequence initiated." Behind them, Sarah heard the sound of Dominion weapons cutting through metal. They had found the staircase. "Get everyone inside," Sarah ordered. Her people did not need to be told twice. They rushed through the doorway into whatever lay beyond. Sarah was the last to enter. As she stepped through the door, she looked back, up the hallway. She could see the glow of Dominion energy weapons reflecting off the walls. In a few more minutes, they would be down here. The room beyond the door was huge. It stretched away into darkness, filled with strange machines and equipment that hummed with power. But what caught Sarah's attention were the hundreds of metal containers lined up in perfect rows. Each one was about the size of a coffin and glowed with soft blue light. "What is this place?" whispered Dr. Williams. "I think," Sarah said slowly, "it's hope." The voice spoke again. "Guardian facilities detected across 17 global locations. Total Guardian units 4,212. Estimated time to full activation 6 hours." Dominion soldiers appeared at the far end of the hallway. They saw Sarah and her people and began running toward the open door. Their weapons charged up with that familiar humming sound. Sarah looked at the plaque one more time. Below the main text, she noticed something she had missed before. A single line written in smaller letters. "Payment for activation, the life of the last free human." She understood now. This was not just about genetic identification. It was about sacrifice. The Dominion soldiers were halfway down the hallway. Their weapons were almost ready to fire. Sarah smiled and pressed both hands against the plaque. She felt a sharp pain as something in the metal cut into her palms. Her blood ran down the plaque and was absorbed into the strange metal. The pain spread up her arms and into her chest. She felt her heart skip a beat, then another. But she also felt something else. The blue light in the walls was getting brighter. The humming from the machines was getting louder. "Commander!" David reached for her, but she waved him away. "Take care of them," she said, looking at the civilians huddled behind the metal containers. All of them. The Dominion soldiers reached the door and raised their weapons. Sarah turned to face them, still smiling. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous?" she called out to them. "It's not that we're violent. It's that we never give up." She pulled the detonator from her belt. It was connected to every explosive. They had left. She had been saving it for exactly this moment. The explosion shook the entire underground complex. The hallway collapsed, sealing the entrance to the Guardian facility. The Dominion soldiers were gone. So was Sarah Chen, the last free human in the galaxy. But in the depths of the facility, ancient machines began their work. The metal containers started to open with soft, hissing sounds. After 200 years of sleep, Earth's greatest warriors were finally waking up. Above ground, Admiral Zethkar of the Dominion fleet received the report of humanity's final destruction. He marked Earth as officially conquered and ordered his ships to begin strip mining operations. He never noticed the strange energy readings that were beginning to appear all across the planet's surface. He never saw the blue lights that were starting to glow in hidden facilities around the world. The last human had fallen. But humanity's real war was just beginning. Marcus Voss woke up to the sound of machines and the taste of copper in his mouth. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the blue light that filled his vision. For a moment, he could not remember where he was or how he had gotten there. Then the memories came flooding back. The war, the Dominion invasion, the choice to join Project Eternal Guardian, the cold metal table, the needles, the promise that he would sleep until humanity needed him most. He sat up in what looked like a metal coffin and immediately knew that something was wrong with his body. His muscles felt different, stronger. When he moved his arm, it moved faster than it should have. When he looked around the room, he could see things that should have been too dark to make out clearly. "Subject 7 Alpha is awake," said a voice from somewhere above him. It was the same strange, almost human voice he remembered from before they put him to sleep. "Vital signs are stable. Enhancement integration is complete." Marcus climbed out of the container and stood on shaky legs. The room was exactly as he remembered it, filled with hundreds of other metal containers. But now many of them were open and empty. "How long?" he asked. His voice sounded different too, deeper, rougher. "You have been in cryogenic suspension for 203 years, the voice answered. "Guardian Protocol Omega was activated 6 hours ago." 200 years. Marcus tried to process that information. Everyone he had known before going to sleep was dead. His family, his friends, his unit, all gone. "Status report," he said. "Military training took over when everything else failed. Humanity status, functionally extinct. Total surviving population, 846 individuals in protective custody. Hostile forces, Dominion Occupation Army estimated at 50,000 troops across 17 Earth locations." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. 800 people. That was all that was left of the human race. More containers were opening around the room. Men and women climbed out, all of them looking confused and disoriented. Marcus recognized some of them from the Guardian training program. Elena Vasquez, the sniper who could hit a target from 3 miles away. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the medic who had saved more lives than anyone could count. Captain Jake Morrison, who could fly anything with wings or engines. "Where are the survivors?" Marcus asked. "In the secure area of this facility. They were brought here by Commander Sarah Chen before her death during the activation sequence." Sarah Chen. Marcus remembered her from the military briefings. A good soldier who had never given up even when things looked hopeless. "Show me," he said. The voice guided him through the facility to a large room where people were sleeping on makeshift beds. They looked tired and scared. Many of them were injured. Children clung to their parents. Old people stared at nothing, with empty eyes. These were the last humans in the galaxy. Marcus walked among them, studying their faces. He saw determination there, even through the exhaustion and fear. These people had survived 200 years of war. They had watched their entire species die around them, but they were still here. Guardian 7 Alpha. Dr. Tanaka appeared beside him. She looked the same as she had 200 years ago, except for her eyes. They moved too fast, taking in too much information at once. "I've been examining our enhancements. We're not entirely human anymore." Marcus nodded. He could feel it too. His heart beat too slowly. His reflexes were too fast. When he concentrated, he could hear conversations happening in other rooms. "What did they do to us?" he asked. "They made us into weapons," Dr. Tanaka said. "Regenerative healing, enhanced strength and speed, improved senses, faster thinking. We're designed to fight a war that regular humans could never win." More Guardians were gathering around them. Marcus counted 37 people, all of them enhanced in different ways. Elena's skin seemed to shift and change color as she moved, some kind of camouflage system. Captain Morrison's eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, probably improved vision for flying in combat. Guardian 7 Alpha, the facility's AI, spoke again. "You have been designated as unit commander based on pre-suspension military rank and leadership evaluation scores." Marcus looked at the other Guardians. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders. Just like old times, except everything had changed. "What's our mission?" he asked. "Primary objective: eliminate all Dominion forces on Earth. Secondary objective: locate and rescue any surviving humans throughout Dominion space. Tertiary objective: prevent future extinction attempts against humanity." Rules of engagement: collateral damage parameters have been suspended. Geneva Convention protocols are no longer in effect. Total war authorization is active. Marcus understood. They were not here to fight fair. They were here to win. "All right, everyone," he said to the other Guardians. Let's find out what we're up against. The AI showed them images of Earth as it was now. The planet looked different. Dominion structures covered most of the major cities. Mining operations had carved huge scars across the landscape. The oceans were a different color, probably from alien chemicals. Current Dominion forces include the 15th Assault Legion, 8th Mining Division, and 3rd Research Group, the AI explained. They believe humanity is extinct. Their guard protocols are at minimum levels. Good, said Elena. That means we have the element of surprise. Marcus studied the tactical information scrolling across the screens. The Dominion had spread themselves, thin across the planet. They were not expecting any resistance. That was their first mistake. Dr. Tanaka, I need you to examine the survivors. Find out what kind of medical attention they need. Captain Morrison, check our equipment and vehicles. Elena, run reconnaissance on the nearest Dominion outpost. The Guardians moved to follow his orders. Marcus turned back to the AI. I need to know everything about Dominion technology, tactics, and weaknesses. And I need to know where they're keeping human prisoners. Accessing Dominion databases will require infiltration of their command systems. Then that's what we'll do. Marcus walked back to the survivors' area. An old man was awake, sitting by a small girl who was sleeping. He looked up when Marcus approached. You're one of them, aren't you? The man said quietly. The soldiers who were supposed to wake up if things got bad enough. Yes, Marcus said. What's your name? David Park. I was Commander Chen's second. She told us about this place before. He gestured toward the facility around them. Before she died to wake you up. Marcus knelt down next to the man. David, I need you to tell me everything you know about the Dominion forces up there. Numbers, weapons, patrol patterns, everything. David nodded. They think we're all dead now. They've gotten careless. Most of their patrols only have 3 or 4 soldiers. Their main base is in what used to be downtown Singapore. Good. What about their ships? Dozens of them in orbit. They're mining ships mostly, but they have weapons. Marcus absorbed this information. The Dominion had orbital superiority and superior numbers. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to fight them, but the Guardians were not normal circumstances. Dr. Tanaka returned from her examination of the survivors. Malnutrition, various injuries, some radiation sickness from Dominion. Weapons. Nothing I can't handle with the medical nanites they gave me. Marcus watched as tiny machines flowed from Dr. Tanaka's hands to treat a wounded child. The girl's burns began to heal immediately. How long until everyone is combat ready? Marcus asked. The survivors? They're not combat personnel. Most of them are civilians. They're the last humans alive, Marcus said. If we're going to rebuild our species, we need every single one of them to survive. That means they need to be able to defend themselves. Elena appeared beside them without making a sound. Her camouflage was perfect. Marcus had not even seen her coming. 3 Dominion patrols within 2 miles, she reported. 12 soldiers total. They're using some kind of crystal-based energy weapons. Their armor looks strong, but it has weak points at the joints. Perfect. Marcus turned to address all the Guardians. Listen up. We've been asleep for 200 years while our species was hunted to extinction. The Dominion thinks they've won. They think humans are finished. He looked around at the enhanced faces watching him. These people had volunteered to become something more than human to protect humanity. Now it was time to do the job they were designed for. They're wrong, Marcus continued. We're not here to fight a war. We're here to end one. We're going to show the Dominion what happens when you try to make humanity extinct. Captain Morrison stepped forward. What's the plan, sir? Marcus smiled. For the first time since waking up, he felt like himself again. We're going hunting. Admiral Zethkar stood on the bridge of his command ship and looked down at Earth through the viewing screen. The planet looked peaceful now, covered in Dominion mining operations and research facilities. Another successful conquest for the Alliance. Sir, said his communications officer, we are receiving reports of equipment failures at several ground installations. Zethkar did not look away from the planet. Equipment failures were common on newly conquered worlds. Old human technology sometimes interfered with Dominion systems. What kind of failures, he asked. Mining Station 7 stopped reporting 6 hours ago. Research Outpost 12 went dark an hour after that. Most recently, Patrol Base 4. Now Zethkar turned around. 3 facilities in one day was unusual. Send a squad to investigate Mining Station 7 and increase patrol frequencies around all installations. Yes, sir. What Zethkar did not know was that Mining Station 7 no longer existed. Where it had once stood was now just empty ground and scattered pieces of crystal armor. Elena Vasquez crouched in the ruins and smiled. The camouflage system built into her skin made her nearly invisible against the wreckage. She spoke into her communication device using a frequency that Dominion sensors could not detect. Station 7 is clear, she reported. 17 enemy soldiers eliminated. No survivors. Marcus's voice came back through her earpiece. Good work. Any useful intelligence? Their weapons are powered by some kind of crystal technology. The crystals are grown, not manufactured. I found what looks like a growing facility in the basement. Bring samples back for Dr. Tanaka to examine. What about their communication systems? Elena looked at the twisted remains of the station's communication array. Completely destroyed, they won't be calling for help. She had attacked the mining station just after dawn, when most of the Dominion soldiers were sleeping. Her enhanced muscles let her move faster than their eyes could follow. Her camouflage made her invisible in the early morning light. Her modified weapons cut through their crystal armor like it was made of paper. It had been over in less than 10 minutes. Moving to Target 2, Elena said. She gathered up samples of Dominion technology and vanished into the forest that surrounded the mining station. Research Outpost 12 was different from the mining station. It was built into the side of a mountain and heavily fortified. Elena counted at least 30 soldiers and several automated defense systems, but Elena was not attacking this target alone. Captain Morrison flew his stolen Dominion aircraft in low over the trees. He had taken it during a raid 2 days ago and modified it with human technology. The alien ship barely made a sound as it moved through the air. I have eyes on the target, Morrison reported. Multiple defensive positions. This is going to be tricky. Not for us, came Marcus's voice over the communication system. That was when the real attack began. Marcus and 5 other Guardians came up through the ground. They had spent hours digging tunnels beneath the research outpost, using tools that cut through rock like it was soft clay. Their enhanced bodies did not get tired the way normal humans would. They emerged inside the facility's main laboratory. Dominion scientists looked up in surprise as armed figures appeared from holes in the floor. They barely had time to scream before the Guardians opened fire. Dr. Tanaka was with Marcus's team. While the other Guardians secured the facility, she went straight to the research computers. Her enhanced mind processed information much faster than any normal human could. Within minutes, she had copied everything in the facility's database. Marcus, she said, her voice tight with anger. You need to see this. The computer screens showed images that made Marcus's enhanced heart beat faster. Dominion scientists had been experimenting on human prisoners. They were trying to figure out what made humans so adaptable and dangerous. The files showed dissection reports, genetic experiments, and psychological torture designed to break human minds. Hundreds of people had died in these experiments. How many facilities like this are there? Marcus asked. Dr. Tanaka checked the database. 17 on Earth alone, and this says they have similar research programs on 12 other worlds. Marcus felt something cold and angry settle in his chest. The Dominion had not just tried to destroy humanity. They had tried to understand what made humans special, so they could use it for themselves. Download everything, he ordered. Then, burn this place to the ground. The attack on Research Outpost 12 made the news throughout Dominion space. Unlike the mining station, there were survivors. 3 scientists managed to escape and report what they had seen. Their reports were confusing and frightening. They spoke of humans who moved too fast to see clearly. Humans who appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. Humans who seemed immune to Dominion weapons. Admiral Zethkar read the reports with growing concern. The scientists claimed that the attackers were definitely human, but they described abilities that no human should possess. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "we've lost contact with Patrol Base 4 as well. Send a full company to investigate," Zethkar ordered. "And I want aerial reconnaissance of all our installations." But aerial reconnaissance would not help. The Guardians moved underground, through tunnels and sewers and forgotten maintenance systems. They struck at night when Dominion soldiers could not see them coming. They used hit-and-run tactics that regular armies could never manage. Patrol Base 4 had been the most heavily defended of the three targets. It was surrounded by energy barriers and protected by automated turrets. 50 Dominion soldiers were stationed there. Elena and Morrison attacked it together. Elena's camouflage let her get close to the energy barriers without being detected. Morrison flew overhead, drawing the attention of the automated defenses. But the real attack came from below ground again. Marcus had discovered something useful about Dominion technology. It was very advanced, but it was not designed to defend against enemies who could burrow through solid rock. The aliens had never fought an enemy like humans before. The Guardians came up through the floor of the base's command center. They moved, with perfect coordination, each Guardian knowing exactly where the others were and what they were doing. Their enhanced minds could process tactical information faster than any computer. The battle was over before the Dominion soldiers knew they were under attack. Dr. Tanaka examined the base's communication systems and found something interesting. The Dominion had been sending regular reports to their fleet in orbit. Those reports included detailed information about troop movements and supply schedules. "We can use this," she told Marcus. "If we intercept their communications, we can stay one step ahead of them." But Marcus was thinking about something else. The database from Research Outpost 12 had contained information about human prisoners throughout Dominion space. Thousands of people were still alive, working as slaves in alien mines and factories. "Change of plans," Marcus announced to the other Guardians. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every human in the galaxy." Elena looked up from the Dominion equipment she was examining. "You want to take the war to them? Their home worlds have millions of soldiers." "Then we'd, better get started," Marcus said. He turned to the facility's communication system and began recording a message. When he was finished, Dr. Tanaka would broadcast it on every Dominion frequency in the galaxy. "My name is Marcus Voss," he began. "I am speaking for the human species. You thought you had destroyed us. You were wrong." His voice was calm and steady, but there was something in it that would make Dominion listeners very nervous. "You have killed billions of our people. You have enslaved thousands more. You have tried to steal our genetic heritage for your own purposes. These crimes will not go unpunished." Marcus looked around at the other Guardians. They were watching, him with expressions of grim determination. "We are coming for you," Marcus continued. "We will find every human you have taken. We will free them. And then we will make sure you never threaten any other species again." He paused for a moment, thinking about Sarah Chen and all the other humans who had died fighting the Dominion. "You wanted to make humanity extinct. Now you will learn what extinction really means." Dr. Tanaka sent the message out across the galaxy. Within hours, it would reach every Dominion world and every human prison camp. The Dominion had thought the war was over. They were about to discover that it had only just begun. The message reached Kepler Station 3 days later. Commander Sarah Hughes was unloading ore from the mining tunnels when she heard it playing over the facility's speakers. At first, she thought it was some kind of mistake. Sarah was one of 12,000 humans working as slaves on Kepler Station. They had been captured during the fall of the outer colonies and transported here to mine crystals for the Dominion war machine. Most of them had been here for over 50 years. "My name is Marcus Voss," the voice said. "I am speaking for the human species." Sarah dropped the container she was carrying. Around her, other human workers stopped what they were doing and looked up at the speakers. The Dominion guards looked confused. They did not understand why the humans were acting strange. "You thought you had destroyed us. You were wrong." Sarah felt something she had not felt in decades. Hope. The voice was strong and confident. It sounded like a soldier. It sounded like someone who had not given up. "We are coming for you. We will find every human you have taken. We will free them." The Dominion guards finally realized something was wrong. They began shouting orders and raising their weapons. But the human workers were not listening anymore. They were looking at each other with expressions the guards had never seen before. The humans were smiling. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On Vega Mining World, 8,000 human prisoners heard the message and began planning their first rebellion. In 30 years, on Centauri Research Station, human scientists who had been forced to work on Dominion weapons projects started sabotaging their own research. The message reached the Dominion High Council on their capital world of Nexus Prime. Fleet Admiral Korath listened to it 3 times before calling an emergency session. "How many humans are left?" he asked his intelligence officers. "Our reports from Earth indicate total extinction," came the reply. Admiral Zethkar confirmed that the last human resistance was eliminated 6 days ago. Then who sent this message? Nobody had an answer for that question. Admiral Korath studied the tactical reports from Earth. 3 installations destroyed, over 100 soldiers killed, and no sign of who was responsible. The few survivors spoke of enhanced humans with impossible abilities, but that made no sense. Humans did not have enhancement technology. "Double the guard on all human prison facilities," Korath ordered, "and send the 3rd battle fleet to Earth. If there are humans still alive down there, I want them found and eliminated." But the 3rd battle fleet would arrive too late. By the time they reached Earth orbit, the Guardians had already left the planet. Marcus stood on the bridge of a stolen Dominion warship and watched Earth shrink behind them. The ship had been taken during a raid on the Dominion's main orbital facility. 24 Guardians had attacked it at once, moving through the ship like ghosts and eliminating the crew before they could send a distress signal. Captain Morrison was piloting the ship using stolen navigation data. Dr. Tanaka was studying Dominion star charts, looking for prison worlds and slave camps. Elena was checking their weapon systems and planning attack strategies. "First target is the Altair system," Dr. Tanaka announced. "According to the database we captured, they have a mining operation there with over 15,000 human prisoners." "How heavily defended?" Marcus asked. 2 orbital platforms and a garrison of 500 soldiers. The platforms are armed with plasma cannons and shield generators. Marcus nodded. It sounded like a fair fight. 24 enhanced humans against 500 regular soldiers and automated defenses. He almost felt sorry for the Dominion forces. Time to arrival? 18 hours at maximum speed. The stolen warship moved through space faster than any human vessel ever built. Dominion technology was impressive, even if their tactics were predictable. Marcus spent the journey studying their military files and learning about their command structure. What he found was interesting. The Dominion was not actually a unified government. It was an alliance of 4 different alien species, each with their own military forces and political goals. They cooperated because they all feared human expansion, but there were tensions between them. "We can use this," he told the other Guardians during the strategy meeting. "If we hit them hard enough and fast enough, they might start blaming each other instead of working together." The Altair system appeared on their sensors 18 hours later. Marcus could see the mining operation on the main planet's surface, a sprawling complex of industrial buildings and worker housing. Thousands of tiny figures moved around the facility like ants. Those figures were human beings who had been slaves for decades. "Elena, take your team and disable the orbital platforms," Marcus ordered. "Try to keep the crews alive for interrogation. Morrison, bring us in low over the main facility. Dr. Tanaka, get ready to treat wounded civilians." "What about the garrison?" asked Sergeant Kelly, one of the enhanced soldiers. "Leave them to me," Marcus said. The attack began with Elena's team, using personal stealth ships to approach the orbital platforms. The platform's sensors could not detect the small craft, which were coated with the same camouflage technology that Elena used. Elena and 2 other Guardians landed on the first platform without being seen. They moved through the facility like shadows, using non-lethal weapons to disable the crew. Within 30 minutes, the platform's weapons were offline, and its shields were down. The second platform fell just as quickly. Meanwhile, Marcus took the rest of his team down to the planet's surface. They landed outside the main facility and split into 3 groups. Each group attacked from a different direction, moving too fast for the Dominion soldiers to coordinate a proper defense. Marcus led the assault on the garrison headquarters. He moved through the building like death itself, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge enemy fire while returning precise shots of his own. Dominion soldiers fell around him, their crystal armor no match for weapons designed by human engineers, who understood warfare better than any alien race. The battle lasted less than 2 hours. When it was over, the entire Dominion garrison was either dead or captured. The orbital platforms were under Guardian control, and 15,000 human prisoners were free for the first time in decades. Marcus walked through the worker housing areas and saw things that made his enhanced heart ache. Children who had been born into slavery and never seen a free sky. Adults who had forgotten what it meant to hope for something better. Elderly people who had given up expecting rescue decades. Ego, Commander Voss. A woman approached him carefully. She was thin and scarred, but her eyes were bright with intelligence. I'm Dr. Rebecca Stone. I used to be a xenobiologist before all this. The prisoners have chosen me to speak for them. What do you need, Doctor? Marcus asked. Medical attention for the sick and injured, food for the children, and... She paused, as if afraid to ask for too much. We need to know if this is real, if we're really free. Marcus looked around at the faces watching him. These people had survived the worst that the Dominion could do to them. They had kept their humanity through decades of slavery and torture. They deserved better than just freedom. They deserved revenge. Dr. Stone, he said, how would you like to help us free the rest of our people? Word of the Altair raid spread through Dominion space like wildfire. The official report spoke of a surprise attack by unknown forces. But the surviving Dominion soldiers told a different story. They spoke of humans who moved like lightning and fought like demons. Humans who seemed to know exactly where to strike, for maximum damage. On Nexus Prime, Admiral Korath read the reports with growing alarm. The attackers had used advanced human technology and superior tactics. They had struck with precision and withdrawn before reinforcements could arrive. Most disturbing of all, they had rescued every human prisoner and taken them somewhere safe. How many humans did we lose at Altair? He asked his staff. 15,000 freed, sir. Plus the crews of both orbital platforms were captured alive. Captured, not killed? Yes, sir. The attackers seemed to want prisoners for interrogation. Admiral Korath felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. These were not desperate survivors fighting a hopeless battle. These were professional soldiers with a plan. Send a message to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Triple security around all human prison facilities, and prepare the 4th and 5th battle fleets for immediate deployment. But Admiral Korath was thinking too small. He was still fighting the old war, the one where humans were desperate refugees trying to survive. He did not understand that the Guardians were fighting a completely different kind of war. They were not just rescuing prisoners. They were building an army. On a captured Dominion research station, Dr. Tanaka worked to reverse the genetic experiments. The aliens had performed on human subjects. Some of the damage could be healed, some could not. But every person they saved became another soldier in humanity's growing fleet. Marcus stood in the station's command center and looked at the star, charts covering the walls. Red pins marked Dominion military bases. Blue pins marked human prison camps. Yellow pins marked targets they had already hit. There were still thousands of red and blue pins left on the map. How many ships do we have now? He asked Captain Morrison. 17. Warships plus support vessels, and we have over 2,000 volunteers ready for combat. The High Council of Nexus Prime met in emergency session for the 3rd time that week. Admiral Korath looked around the circular chamber at the 4 species that made up the Dominion Alliance. Each group sat in their own section, and the tension between them was getting worse every day. The human attacks are spreading chaos throughout our territory, announced Counselor Vexith of the crystal-based Jektar. Our mining operations have lost over 40,000 workers in the past month. Your mining operations? Corrected Counselor Yithra of the insect-like hive more. My research facilities are being targeted as well. They seem to know exactly where our most important projects are located. Supreme Counselor Drexun, leader of the reptilian Scarvak who dominated the Alliance, raised his scaled hand for silence. The question is not what they are attacking, but how they are doing it. Our intelligence report suggests no more than 30 enhanced humans are responsible for all of this damage. Impossible, said Counselor Kefta of the energy being Lumdari. 30 soldiers cannot defeat entire battle fleets. Admiral Korath stepped forward. With respect, counselors, our military reports indicate that these are not ordinary humans. They possess technology and abilities far beyond anything we have encountered before. Enhanced humans, Drexen said thoughtfully. The old intelligence files mentioned human experiments with genetic modification during their expansion period. We thought those programs were terminated. Apparently not, Korath replied. These soldiers move faster than our sensors can track. They appear and disappear, without warning. They seem to predict our tactics before we implement them. The counselors exchanged worried looks. The Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds and enslaved dozens of species, but they had never faced anything like this. Where will they strike next? Asked Vexth. That question was answered when the lights went out. Emergency power activated a few seconds later, bathing the council chamber in red light. Alarm sirens began wailing throughout the building. Through the chamber's crystal windows, the counselors could see explosions lighting up the night sky over the capital city. Report, Drexen shouted into his communication device. Unknown attackers have penetrated the planetary defense grid, came the panicked reply. They've disabled the orbital platforms and are attacking ground installations throughout the city. How many ships? Admiral Korath demanded. We don't know, sir. Our sensors are being jammed, but the attacks are happening simultaneously at over 50 locations. Drexen stood up from his throne. Activate all military units. Deploy the palace. Guard, and get us to the secure bunker immediately. But as they moved toward the chamber's exit, the doors sealed themselves shut with a loud hiss. Security lockdown initiated, announced the building's computer system. Unknown energy signatures detected in the building. All exits are sealed until threat is eliminated. The counselors looked around nervously. They were trapped in the chamber, with no way out. That was when Marcus Voss stepped out of the shadows near the chamber's main podium. He was alone, wearing dark clothing that seemed to absorb the red emergency lighting. His enhanced eyes glowed faintly in the darkness as he looked around at the most powerful beings in Dominion space. Good evening, counselors, he said calmly. We need to talk. The palace guards raised their weapons, but Marcus moved faster than they could react. He crossed the chamber in the time it took them to aim, disarming each guard with precise strikes that left them unconscious but alive. How did you get in here? Drexen demanded. Very carefully, Marcus replied. Your security is impressive, but it's designed to stop armies, not individuals. Elena got me past your sensors. Dr. Tanaka disabled your computer systems. Captain Morrison is keeping your air defenses busy while the rest of my team handles your ground forces. You're one human against the entire Dominion fleet, Admiral Korath said. Even if you kill us, you cannot win this war. Marcus smiled. Admiral, I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to offer you a choice. He activated a small device that projected a holographic map of Dominion space. Red dots marked human prison camps and mining operations. Blue dots showed the locations where the Guardians had struck over the past month. This is what we've accomplished with 24 soldiers in 30 days, Marcus said. We've freed over 100,000 human prisoners. We've captured or destroyed 200 Dominion installations. And we've done it all without losing a single Guardian. The counselors studied the map with growing alarm. The blue dots covered nearly a third of Dominion space. Now imagine what we can do with 100,000 soldiers, Marcus continued. Or 1,000,000, because every human we free becomes another soldier in our army. Every ship we capture becomes another weapon pointed at your worlds. What do you want? Drexun asked quietly. I want you to surrender, Marcus said simply. Withdraw all Dominion forces from human space. Release every human prisoner in your territory. Pay reparations for the damage you've done to our species. And most importantly, never threaten humanity again. Counselor Vex laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. You expect us to surrender our entire empire to a handful of enhanced humans? No, Marcus said. I expect you to surrender to avoid what happens if you don't. He activated another hologram. This one showed real-time footage from around the capital city. Dominion military bases were burning. Defense installations had been reduced to rubble. The planet's main spaceport was completely destroyed. This is what 24 Guardians can do to your most heavily defended world in one night, Marcus explained. We didn't come here to conquer you. We came here to show you that we can reach anywhere, anytime. Your homes, your families, your most precious secrets. Nothing is safe from us. Admiral Korath was studying the footage with professional interest. How did you coordinate so many simultaneous attacks? Enhanced neural networks, Marcus replied. We think and react faster than normal humans. We can process tactical information in real time across multiple battlefields. And we never get tired, never get scared, and never give up. He looked around at each counselor in turn. The war you started 200 years ago is over. You lost the moment you decided to make humanity extinct. Because extinction is exactly what we're going to bring to anyone who threatens our species. You're bluffing, said Counselor Yithra. You don't have the numbers to threaten 4 entire civilizations. Marcus nodded toward the chamber's windows. Dr. Tanaka, would you show them the fleet? The jamming field around the planet disappeared, and the counselors' communication devices began working again. What they saw on their screens made them all fall silent. Hundreds of ships had appeared in orbit around Nexus Prime. They were Dominion vessels, warships, transports, and mining ships that had been captured over the past month. But they were flying human flags now. Every ship we capture, every base we take, every prisoner we free makes us stronger, Marcus explained. Your own technology is being turned against you. Your own people are joining our cause because they've seen what the Dominion really is. This was not entirely true. Most of the ships were being piloted by human prisoners who had been trained quickly in basic operations. But the counselors did not need to know that. The choice is simple, Marcus continued. Surrender now and keep your civilizations intact, or continue fighting and watch us dismantle everything you've built, piece by piece. Supreme Counselor Drexun was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. What guarantee do we have that you won't simply destroy us anyway once we surrender? You have my word, Marcus said. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be left alone to rebuild our civilization. Surrender, and you'll never see us again unless you threaten another species the way you threatened us. And if we refuse? Marcus's expression grew cold. Then in 50 years, when your grandchildren ask why their worlds are empty ruins, you can tell them it's because you were too proud to admit you were wrong. The counselors looked at each other uncertainly. They had built their alliance on the idea that they were superior to humans. The thought of surrendering to the species they had tried to exterminate was almost unbearable, but the alternative was even worse. We need time to consider your offer, Drexun said finally. You have 24 hours, Marcus replied. After that, we start eliminating your homeworlds one by one. And unlike tonight, we won't be trying to minimize casualties. He walked toward the chamber's sealed doors, which opened automatically at his approach. Oh, and counselors, don't bother trying to contact your fleets. Dr. Tanaka has taken control of your communication networks. The only messages leaving this planet will be the ones we approve. As he reached the doorway, Marcus turned back one last time. 200 years ago, you decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. You were right. We are dangerous. We're dangerous to anyone who tries to destroy us, enslave us, or experiment on us. Remember that when you make your decision. He vanished into the darkness beyond the doorway, leaving the most powerful beings in Dominion space alone with their fear. 22 hours later, Supreme Counselor Drexun broadcast a message across the galaxy. The Dominion Alliance was officially surrendering to human forces. All human prisoners would be released immediately. All Dominion forces would withdraw from human space. Reparations would